Kawhi's decision drove both myself. This video gives you the 5 real reasons Kawhi Leonard is staying with the Toronto Raptors.
I mean, come on, man.
And the NBA media crazy.
The Los Angeles Lakers. And I'm going to leave a little space for the Raptors and very little for the Clippers.
But the Clippers win the Claw sweepstakes, and after also trading for a top 2-way wing in PG, how dominant are the Clippers with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George? Keeping Patrick Beverley, this team now has 3 top defenders on the perimeter, but are the 2020 Clippers championship favorites, and what'll be the after effects of Leonard's big decision? Shout out to Caleb, who disagrees that the Nets have 2021 championship possibilities because of KD's age/injury and Kyrie's unpredictability. Great comment all around. Compete for yearly rewards and next video shout out by answering tonight's question after the video. Developing chemistry along with long stretches of winning could take time for the LA Clippers in 2019-20. The West from 1 to 15 is a much more dangerously talented conference than the East, with every team this offseason other than the OKC Thunder upgrading their roster. But come playoff time, after Kawhi probably teaches Paul George about load management, the two-way animal that Leonard has proved to be in the biggest moments now has the closest clone of himself possible. A second option offensively who's averaged over 20 a game in 5 consecutive postseasons, the candidate for MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. George goes from getting game planned by defenses as the go-to scorer in OKC to Kawhi's second fiddle in LA. It's far from a two-man show, though. The Clippers' core perfectly complements their 2 new stars. Montrezl Harrell and Lou Williams were an absolutely lethal combination off the bench last season, which gave LA the highest scoring bench in the NBA, ahead of any other team's bench by over 5 points a game. Then in the playoffs, they both averaged over 18 a game, helping push the fully healthy Warriors to 6 games. At age 22, Landry Shamet's coming off a season where he led all rookies in three-point percentage. Most of his time is going to be spent cutting through off-ball screens and getting wide-open looks from Leonard and George. He'll be a dominant spot-up shooter for years to come, but it's his pull-up threes in transition and his overall shot-creating ability for himself and others that makes the man a perfect fit at the starting shooting guard position for this team. Based off all the wide open looks he's gonna get, don't be surprised if he averages 14 plus a game in 2019-20. Last season, Montrezl Harrell was 5th in the NBA in field goal percentage at 61%, and then he followed that up by shooting 71% in the playoffs. His thunderous hops, screen setting, and persistent energy from minute 1 to 48, it has to be flat out scary to compete against. Lou Williams is due for another season of incredibly tough shot making. He's one of the greatest pure shot creators of all time, and he seems to never show any age. He'll most likely win his 3rd consecutive 6th Man of the Year award. And of course, Patrick Beverley, one of the toughest players in the NBA, a guy who can just get up in your face and get in your head. At the point guard position, maybe he's not the best defender in the league, but definitely the most physical. Wide open looks are coming for yet another 40% three-point shooter. Beverley was also the 5th best rebounding point guard last season and had multiple 14 rebound games in the playoffs. But here's the biggest factor towards potential Clipper dominance. In the 2018-19 season, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard were the 2 best small forward defenders, ranking 2nd and 3rd in defensive rating among forwards. Giannis, of course, has moved to the 4 spot. And speaking of the power forward position, Kawhi should play a solid amount of his time at that spot for the Clippers. The star power at the 3 and 4 spots for LA makes every forward in the NBA not excited whatsoever to play offense when they see the Clippers on their schedule. With 170 steals, Paul George led the NBA in that category, and given the Claw's presence, PG's about to be guarding team's 2nd best player come the playoffs. His passing lane awareness resembles a defensive back in the NFL. No NBA forward anticipates passes, while at the same time predicting what move a player makes better than Paul George, and there's not a single NBA player who forces players into tough shots more than Kawhi Leonard. So is this duo, combined with an extremely tough Patrick Beverley, who's one of the best point guard defenders in the NBA, about to shut down the Western Conference and lead the LA Clippers to their first ever title? Stay tuned for that. But losing Kawhi is tough for Toronto, but the Lakers dictated their entire free agency plan towards getting Kawhi. Now, their core around an almost 35-year-old LeBron and Anthony Davis could ultimately be their ending point come the postseason. Danny Green is solid, but counting on players like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Jared Dudley, Troy Daniels to knock down big-time shots against top defenses in the playoffs is way too much to ask for. Cousins can get you a bucket down low, but frankly, he's never been the same since his Achilles tear, especially in the 2019 finals. The ability to add better pieces earlier in free agency was put on halt because of Kawhi making up his mind. It turns out Kawhi met with Paul George directly after his meeting with the Lakers. It seems like his plan all along was to screw over a rival in his new conference. Without a doubt, with both teams at full strength, the Clippers would beat the Lakers in a 7-game series. But let's stack them up to the other teams in the West. The Golden State Warriors are, of course, Durantless, and given a Clipper squad without two superstars took them to 6 games in last playoffs, and Kawhi beat a Golden State team 2 out of the 3 times when Klay was fully healthy, the Clippers should scare the Warriors. I think LA wins a series against them in 5 or 6. Other than the Warriors, there's 2 other threats bigger than the Lakers in my opinion. Denver's Murray and Jokic combo, combined with an extremely deep young team, the Utah Jazz, who signed an elite shooter in Bojan Bogdanovic, to pair with the growing Donovan Mitchell, who averaged over 25 a game in the second half of last season. Can't forget they've got the 2-time reigning Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert, and finally, once considered potentially still at just age 31, elite two-way point guard Mike Conley, a great addition. Before you see if the Clips are ready for the 2020 title, as fans, these are the most intriguing storylines and the ripple effect of these blockbuster Clipper moves. Jerry West has the greatest resume of any NBA executive of all time. I know he was a great player, but after building the Lakers dynasty in the 1980s, trading Vlade Divac for Kobe Bryant, convincing Shaq to join the Lakers and Durant to join the Warriors, while stopping Golden State from trading Klay for Kevin Love, and now signing Kawhi and trading and signing for George in one night. The usual little brother to the LA Lakers now has 2 top NBA forwards in their prime, and for anyone who thinks they gave up too many draft picks, first of all, it's a move that's more than worth 4 first-rounders. Considering both stars are now playing for their hometowns, they're not going anywhere. And rising athletic center, Ivica Zubac, if I'm pronouncing that right, Shamet, who I spoke on, and Jerome Robinson, who's a growing scorer, those 3 are all 22 years old. This team's young talent is already in place. Jerry West trusts the player development he has in place, and more so, he trusts the 2 superstars that he's just signed. And lastly, the NBA is as balanced as ever after these moves, which wouldn't have been the case if we saw a Davis, James, and Leonard Big 3. Now there's 6 or 7 teams out west in the Blazers, Nuggets, Warriors, Rockets, Jazz, Clippers, potentially even the Lakers, who have enough firepower to make a dreamlike run to the finals. The days of feeling like you're second class to a team with 5 All-Stars are a thing of the past. The West is wide open. Even in the East, like 5 or 6 teams, I'd say the Bucks, Sixers, and Celtics are at the top of that list and have the best chance of advancing to the title. But the Pacers and Raptors have extremely solid rosters. Oladipo's going to be healthy soon. And of course, the Nets, when Durant comes back, could be the 2021 title favorites. But the spot of the 2020 NBA favorite, without a doubt, belongs to the new-look beastly Clippers, who've gone from having a racist owner with inconsistent and injury-prone stars to being owned by a Microsoft executive and run by the most credentialed executive in NBA history. Now it's up to Doc Rivers, the Coach of the Year snub, who's got a tough job of managing the contrasting egos and personalities in the locker room, to put this thing together, but this is a special roster in every aspect of basketball. The shoutout question is, are you buying the new look Clippers hype? Subscribe if you're new, thumbs up if you enjoy the content. This was your boy Dflow. Have a great day, and see you next video.